Computer History Museum CEO John Haller and curator Alex Pachanik are in Moscow to begin an ambitious new project.
I'll sit back here. That'll give you the view. Well, we know a lot about computing in almost every part of the world except this part of the world. And during the Cold War, when all of this explosion in technology generally was happening, there was a space race, there was an arms race, there had to be a computer race. We know about the first two, and we know virtually nothing about the third.
In less than 1 hour, John and Alex must deliver a presentation inside the headquarters for Russia's Academy of Science. Some of Russia's most prominent scientists will be in attendance. Their trip had begun a week earlier when they traveled 300 miles toward Siberia. Intel Corporation invited John and Alex for a tour of one of their most important research centers, located in Russia's fourth largest city, Nizhny Novgorod. In Soviet times, Nizhny was called Gorky, and it was closed to foreigners because of its strategic importance as a military research and production center. Its importance is only now becoming more widely understood.
This is a great opportunity to really get more information about the origins of computing in a part of the world that's less widely documented as the US or the European side of things.
The next morning's cab trip to Intel takes John and Alex through the heart of the once closed city. Home to 25 scientific research centers and 33 educational institutions. Even Gorky's street names were state secrets during Stalin's reign. But even more was hidden 100 miles to the south. Tucked away in a national park, a city of 90,000 people was simply called Arzamas 16. Still off limits to most foreigners, the city, now called Sarov, was the birthplace of the Russian atomic bomb. Cold War tensions have given way to collaboration between East and West these days, and Intel works against Russian brain drain by developing its next-generation designs for future technology. Vladimir Bogdanov is Intel's Nizhny Novgorod general manager. He runs the operation of the oldest and biggest Intel site in Russia, tapping into talent and technical know-how of this science-obsessed city.
I can tell some of these stories, and that's very... Well, back to Intel mission in Russia. Reverse brain drain. Do you know what brain drain is?
Yes.
And specifically in Sarov. And that was the problem not only for Russia, not only for Russian government. I'm pretty sure that was a problem for the US government and for governments across the world as well. Because the brain drain from Sarov is not a very good thing. If these people went to North Korea or Iran, well, we probably don't want this to happen. And they can improve their own productivity, they can improve their own lifestyles. That's good for Russia, that's good for people, that's good for Intel.
This has been a big year for us. We've had two important things happen at the museum. First is the Babbage engine. So there are only two working models of Babbage's difference engine in the world. One is in the Museum of Science in London, and one is in our museum. It's human-powered. You can see the crank at the end of the machine. Works exactly as Babbage drew it up 160 years ago. And then this year was the 50th anniversary of the invention of the integrated circuit. And so we've been celebrating the history of the IC and the development of the microprocessor and semiconductor all year long. And Intel actually has been very generous in helping to support that. So these are some examples of Russian and Eastern European artifacts in our collection. You might want to talk a moment about this, Alex.
That shows you a great example of going from mechanical all the way to a integrated circuit pocket calculator. We also have machines like this Electronica 125, which is based on a PDP-11 mini computer, as well as the Robotron K1840, which is a VAX clone from East Germany. So they are the type of machines you would find in academic institutions or universities or research labs, and it shows you that we're trying to also include other Eastern European states, not just Russia or the Soviet Union, but to really tell the whole story of this development environment.
Next time I go to the US, I will make sure I have an extra day. I will definitely go to your museum. I'm pretty much impressed. I want to see that myself. I have several suggestions. One of them, Boris Babayan, kind of living icon of Russian computing. So if you have a chance to get an interview from Boris, please do that.
That would be wonderful. We'd be absolutely delighted. Actually, let me give you my card real quick.
Yeah.
You can contact me directly.
We didn't exchange the cards. I have mine for you.
John and Alex travel back to Moscow to track down the infamous Boris Babayan. Babayan was just a graduate student when Russia made the first move that would shake the confidence of the West and begin what was called a Cold War. The literal translation of the name for the world's first satellite means fellow traveler, but on October 4th, 1957, it was simply called Sputnik.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. Here, an artist's conception of how the feat was accomplished. A three-stage rocket. Number one, the booster in the class of an intercontinental missile. Its weight estimated at 50 tons. The smaller second stage took over at 5,000 miles an hour and carried on to the highest point reached. 500 miles up, the artificial moon is boosted to a speed counterbalancing the pull of gravity and released. You are hearing the actual signals transmitted by the Earth-circling satellite. One of the great scientific feats of the age.
Back among the more than 10 million Muscovites, John and Alex will meet with Boris Babayan, winner of Russia's Medal of Honor and other prizes. Babayan now develops cutting-edge technology for Intel.
So what do you think, John, we get out of the meeting today with Intel? What are your expectations?
Well, Boris Babayan is one of the probably most widely recognized figures in Soviet-era supercomputing. And the work that he did early on in some of the early Soviet systems is important to know about. So I think talking to him about that and then what he's done later in his career with microprocessor development and more modern era supercomputing is it's important to talk to him about that. He's certainly going to be extremely knowledgeable about it.
Knowledge is an understatement when discussing Babayan. Prior to joining the top ranks of Intel scientists in 2004, Dr. Babayan, at age 77, is still at the head of the class. He leads a team that develops compiler and security technologies for Intel servers.
Based in Silicon Valley, our mission is really to tell the story of computing as it developed worldwide. We have a gap in our knowledge in computing in Russia. You're the very first person that we came to speak to about this.
Very glad. Thank you very much.
So we're delighted to have a chance to sit down with you.
Okay. Specifically only computer, not other high-tech. Computer.
That's a difficult question because now computers are everywhere. And, so the last section in the exhibit is we also have controls for anti-lock brakes from a car, from a computer, to show that computer is not just what's on your desk, but it's everywhere.
Yes.
So,
And our mission with this, our objective, is that everyone knows we all carry computers around in our pockets today. We all have one, but we want to answer the question for people: how did we get here? How did that start? What was the journey? And where are we going? So much has happened in such a short period of time that many of the
Yes,
important
yeah.
pioneers are here. We want to talk to them, learn their stories, the knowledge of the experience, and make sure that's captured forever.
My specialty have the name machine mathematics.
Right.
Machine mathematics, and I was the very first student, and the head of this institute was quite very talented guy, person, Sergei Alexeyevich Lebedev. Maybe you heard this name. He was academician, and he started all this activity in Russia.
You visit the institute named
This
after him,
institute
yes.
of precision,
Yes,
Lebedev.
sure, absolutely.
I have many picture here, and there is a picture of this person.
So you're carrying on a great tradition, because we find wherever we go, when we set up a meeting, someone is very generous with photographs and slides and
This guy,
okay.
very famous. He was a very talented guy. He started all activity of computer. He built very first computer. I have picture in MESM in the Kiev. This is the picture of the MESM.
Terrific.
This
Yeah, it's very interesting. There's a woman operating at the console.
I wasn't there at that
Yeah,
time. It's
yeah.
1949. This photograph
out great information.
was I didn't touch it during 70 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
It was
fantastic.
now this
It's wonderful.
no tools to see this picture.
Yeah, we need to slide this. Yeah.
And that time there was not even the word computer in use here. The specialty which I enter has a name, machine mathematics.
Founded in 1948, Lebedev's Institute got started with crash programs in the wireless control of long-range missiles, compiling tables for anti-aircraft fire, and rendering services to the military. Boris Babayan worked while pursuing a university degree in computer science.
For sure, I was first student in computer science in Russia, and head of this institute was Sergei Alexeyevich Lebedev. And in this institute he built the first BESM-1.
Во всю длину этого коридора протянулись секции быстродействующей электронной счетной машины BESM. Она создана...
He was the first person in Russia managed to convince that it worth to spend resources to develop
на котором с
computers.
главными обозначениями, перфорациями записана программа вычислений.
BESM-1.
Yes, BESM-1.
Yes.
Keyboard, real keyboard of BESM-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gennady Ryabak was the general director of the institute and worked closely with Dr. Babayan. Ryabak's encyclopedic and enthusiastic knowledge about the institute is contagious. From one of the BESM-1 computer's large panels to the vacuum tube lamps that still cling to it.
The first Soviet computer had this construction. He was a beautiful engineer, and therefore to easy change. Very often
Necessary.
broken. Yes.
Yeah, very
yes.
necessary to have it be modular.
right.
Yeah, so that you can push it in and out. Yes. Ingenious. Yeah, beautiful design.
First of all my life I did only one project, improving computer architecture. The computers consist of two parts: technology, how to build a chip, and architecture, how to use this technology to build multiplication, divisions.
Yeah.
Huh.
And in 50s,
How many lamps overall would you say?
first release 8,000 and second release 10,000. thousand. American computers had this construction. In particular, IBM. construction. Yes, yes, yes.
Adopted the same sort of modular.
How to do parallel execution and so on. This was my job. I invented many architecture, many generation of architecture.
БЭСМ представляет собой сложный комплекс электронной автоматики. За 1 секунду она совершает 7-8 тысяч арифметических действий, считает примерно в 100 тысяч раз быстрее человека. Управляет ею один инженер. В данный момент машина решает систему из 800 уравнений.
Here's the BESM 6.
First design in semiconductors, two generation, second generation, and very original.
Yes.
While technology growing, the more and more hardware became available, and it was my job to find the way how productively use this huge amount of hardware.
Svetodiode, light diode.
Oh, light diode, yes.
Yes, light diode. It's very interesting. Yes, keyboard with full picture of processor, central processor.
Because the diodes would show the processing
Yes.
in real time
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Flight Apollo-Soyuz
Yes.
and 4 BESM-6 in control center. Processing of telemetry. And so, well, because processing telemetry in United States and in USSR. It's very successful flight.
Mid-July 1975, an American Apollo spacecraft and a Soviet Soyuz spacecraft prepare to join in Earth orbit, 140 miles above the Atlantic near Portugal. During their 2-day joint flight, astronauts and cosmonauts transferred between spacecraft. They conducted space experiments, and they tested a compatible rendezvous and docking system, evaluating its potential as the universal standard on future spacecraft for docking and rescue. The mission climaxed more than 3 years of planning and preparation, a time during which differences in language, in technology, in political creed were set aside in favor of the common goal. This was the mission that opened the door to international manned spaceflight, the mission that set the course for joint flights of the future. This was the mission of Apollo-Soyuz.
The heritage of Russia's computer software efforts is wide and deep, and the Lebedev Institute spawned many brilliant careers and inventions, mostly unknown in the West. The story of Soviet computing is sometimes buried deep inside archives, museums, and memories that, up until this time, knew how to keep its secrets. Patience and time will be needed to uncover and evaluate the facts, and dive beneath the surface to find the truths of who did what to whom and when. And while time runs short on the museum's first mission inside Russia, John and Alex are treated to another living pioneer of Soviet computing with connections to Sergei Lebedev and his institute, Viktor Ivannikov. Not only does Dr. Ivannikov represent Russia in the International Computer Society IEEE, he was and still is a giant in the field of software development. As a graduate student, Ivannikov was one of the main specialists belonging to the team that worked out the operating system for the BESM-6, the real-time operations of spaceflight control centers, and his work on supercomputer design and operating systems have earned Dr. Ivannikov some of Russia's most prestigious awards. And never too far in the distance is Dr. Ivannikov's ability to remind us of the inherent and proud strength of what is sometimes referred to as Russian soul.
And I become to dream, to be the student of Festech.
And his is but one of scores of stories to be recorded, analyzed, understood, and studied by scholars in the West. Only then can we fully understand the Russian contribution to the history of the development of computers and software in a global context. And only then can we appreciate the unique story and the brilliance and resilience of a largely unknown cast of characters who are computer history heroes.
A large sea for fantasy, a large sea for different experiments. No any very complected equipment and preliminary work, for example, in experimental physics. Free fantasy and a lot of different opportunities to do, to make, to create extremely interesting things. I had the same impression. This is my current impression about the past.
Yes. Well, it begins to fill in the gaps. It begins to outline the picture for us that we want to try to get in more detail as we move ahead on this project. This has been a wonderful introduction for us.
If you want to do some calculations, there is a number of instructions which can be done totally. If you are doing sequentially, there is a lot of time to finish. If you are doing in parallel, there is substantially small time to finish this work. Yes. So parallel execution is very important because it gives speed of computer. If we have a lot of hardware, from hardware point of view, easy to do parallelization, but from algorithm point of view, it's not so simple.
120,000 square feet.
That's roughly 11,000 and change square meters.
Parts of algorithm are interdependent. You cannot calculate this before you did not finish the previous one. So I suggest the way how in more degree do parallel calculation. That means how to do faster
I
calculation.
don't think it's in there anymore.
So the MacTep is a home computer.
Yeah.
It looks like a Commodore 64.
I think it's based on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum.
That's right, you said the Sinclair, yeah.
So what we do have
Today, from logical point of view, speed equivalent parallelism.
Right. 600 artifacts on this section. Okay.
John and Alex have adjusted their presentation to be given to a selected gathering of scientists and historians at Russia's fabled Academy of Science. A success will mean further access and cooperation.
Best one. This, for example, when we arrived at the anti-missile site, there was two computer halls. One for us, one for them.
But are you available? Yes. Good. I suspect.
Dr. Evgeny Velikov is the host of the meeting and is easily Russia's most prestigious scientist. He also serves as close advisor to Russia's president and prime minister.
Thank you very much, Dr. Velikov. I appreciate that very much. Good afternoon, everyone. This is our mission and our vision statement. So the museum really is established to preserve the history of computing worldwide. So we're not simply a Silicon Valley museum or an American museum. We have the ambition of being a worldwide museum because it's a worldwide initiative and the effects have been worldwide. So we want to capture that story in perpetuity. We're fortunate to have this really wonderful facility. We have quite a large campus, as you can see. We have more than 100,000 items in our collection now, going back to the very earliest computing devices. We have a very large media collection, Still and moving images are an important part of what we do. We have 11 permanent exhibits now within the museum. One of the things we do as a museum is on oral history, a kind of a more thorough approach. We've done 353 oral histories so far, so we have a large number of people.
Представлять для вас интерес. Конечно, вся эта деятельность заслуживает внимания и поддержки. Если мы здесь в нашей стране как-то включимся в сотрудничество.
I think they have their collaboration with the American museums.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that we do know the Polytechnic Museum, and we will be meeting there later this week.
За то, что эта презентация, может быть, нам напомнила нашу историю слегка.
Thank you.
Спасибо. Спасибо.
The success of the museum's presentation propels John and Alex into their last meeting in Moscow at its fabled Polytechnic Museum, Russia's most important center for the study of the history of science and technology. First built in 1872 with the enthusiastic support of Russian Emperor Alexander II, it's been collecting a broad range of historical artifacts ever since.
What's beautiful casing
His Emperor Majesty Emperor Nikolai, the Tsar of Russia, Poland, and Finland.
Ah, okay.
It was one empire.
Yes. It's wonderful.
And housed inside its vast halls is a special set of rooms dedicated to the history of the computer.
Did you get a picture of that? Oh, the Babbage and Lebedev? Okay.
Yes, it is familiar.
That's just really amazing. I think it's going to be so interesting for Al. It's really a fantastic machine. It's like standing in front of a ghost. It's sort of like our machines. It's just fascinating that the first two figures that they chose to put on their computing hall are Boole and Babbage, which were just goes to show how universal the reputations are of those two, followed immediately by Lebedev, the father of Soviet supercomputing. That's quite unexpected, I think, to walk in here and see those pictures all side by side. And they have a really interesting picture of something related to Babbage and the Babbage engine, but it's not something I've ever seen before. I need to try to investigate that and ask them where they got that photograph. There's exciting stuff up there. So what did you see that you liked the best? Yeah. The hydraulic computer I thought was really...
It's unclear if it was ever used in any other country. There's the Phillips machine that they have at the Science Museum, but for serious calculations like this, I think that's the only one. Those machines. Very nice. Very nice.
Good.
As the momentum of the Computer History Museum's first voyage into Russian history morphs into plans, ideas, and actions, it's the power of the short trip's memories that will stay with John and Alex as they bring together and celebrate the stories and pioneers of West and East.
Everything from the abacus to the iPhone, as you always like to say. But the biggest challenge for us is that you can go to a bookstore and buy a book on the history of computing, but they always tell one story.
We also like to say that we collect people and not simply artifacts.
And it's a very specific story. And our goal is to show people that history is more broad, it's more complex.
Getting the oral histories of people who are pioneers in computing and are still alive and hearing their stories is very important for us. And in fact, tying the past to the future is really an important thing, and it's part of what we do.